everybody, it's me Mario497 here. In the last episode, I don't even remember. Oh yeah, we did bonus features, but in this episode, we are just going to the library and relax. And you guys relax while I read you guys a story. Or if you are not a guy, then guys and girls or whatever. let us begin. All right. So, this is going to end off the LP. My very first Let's Play ever. Alright? If I do another bonus episode, then it might not be. But, this will do it. Alright? So you guys just lean back, and I will read you guys the story. Alright? Chapter 1. The Celestial Dew. Our story begins with a very, very long time ago, with a young girl. One day, this girl spotted a rusted spaceship holding a small star child. "What is your name? Are you lost?" the girl asked the star child. "I'm Luma, and I'm waiting for Mama. She's coming for me on a comet," said the star child, who had been waiting day and night. "Don't worry, I'll wait for you," the little girl promised. At nightfall, the little girl borrowed her father's telescope and peered into the sky. She looked and looked, but she saw nothing. Hours turned into days, then years, but the sky revealed nothing. Finally, the little girl sighed and said to Luma, "If we stay here looking much longer, I'll be an old lady soon." But then she had an idea. "Why don't we just go out there and find your mother ourselves?" The girl and Luma fixed up the rusty spaceship, and the two set sail into the starry sky. And this is how the search of the Celestial Mother began. Chapter 2. Starbits. Days passed with no sight of the comet, or even a single planet. Instead, asteroids extended for as far as the eye can see. "If I had known it was going to take this long, I would have packed more jam," said the little girl, above the rumbling of her belly. Before they had left, she packed all the essentials: telescope, butterfly net, stuffed bunny, bread, milk, jam, and apricot-flavored tea. "I forgot to bring water!" At this, Luma burst into gales of laughter, and the girl began to pout. "As long as I have starbits, I'll be fine," said Luma. "Want some?" The little girl couldn't stay mad after hearing this. Luma continued to laugh, and the girl couldn't help but join in. "Alright, maybe just a nibble." Leaning far out of the ship, the pair began to collect starbits with the girl's net. They almost fell out a few times, but they kept on collecting. The starbits tasted like honey. Chapter 3. The Comet. A beam of light threw out the ship's window. Thinking it was the morning sun, the girl peered throughout the window, only to find a turquoise-blue comet shimmering at her. The little girl shook the sleeping Luma awake and shouted excitedly, "We have to get to that comet!" The pair descended on the comet, and it found it was made of ice. He looked high and low, but Luma's mother was nowhere to be found. Exhausted, the little girl sat down with a flop, utterly unable to take another step. "Look!" peering down at the icy ground where Luma was pointing. The girl suddenly noticed clusters of starbits encased with ice. "Pretty good, huh? Finding starbits is my specialty," said Luma, beaming. "The ice is here, but it feels so warm. I bet there's water here too." The two decided to stay on the Comet for a while. Riding the turquoise Comet, the pair continued their search for Luma's mother. Chapter 4. The Dream. One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. "Where are you going?" she asked her mother, retreating back. Without turning, her mother replied, "Don't fret, dearest. I am not going anywhere. I'm always watching you over the sun in the day and at the moon at the night." A wave of sadness washed over the girl. "What about when it rains and when I can't see the sun or the moon?" the mother thought for a moment before responding. "I will turn into a star and in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry." When she woke, the girl's face was damp with tears. "You have starbits in your eyes," said Luma to the girl. Wiping her face, the girl replied, "These are tears, not starbits. I'm crying because I'll never see my mother again." The pair traveled throughout the starry skies and thought they encountered many other comets. Not one of them held Luma's mother. Luma was disappointed. Now, Luma, the rain clouds won't go away if you keep crying," the girl said, giving Luma a squeeze. "I'll give you a present if you stop." The girl closed her eyes and said gently, "I'll take care of you." With these words, she felt a small spark in her heart. Chapter 5. Home. "The kitchen will go over there and the library will go over there," the girl said bustily to herself. "We'll put the gate here." Ever since the girl took Luma under her care, she had been bustling about at a feverish pace. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to make a happy home. It turned out that starbits weren't the only thing buried under the ice. There were tools and furniture unlike any they had seen ever before, and the girl used them to build a home. Looking at the completed house, Luma remarked, "Don't you think it's awfully too big for just the two of us?" With the library, bedroom, and fountain and gate, it was certainly spacious, but something had to be missing. "If only my father, brother, and mother were here," the girl said, wistfully indeed. The house was too large for two small residents. That night, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny close to her heart, the girl fell asleep in the starship. Chapter 6. Friends. Then one day, while a girl sat sipping tea, a tiny apricot-colored planet appeared from the horizon. From the planet, another Luma of the same color emerged. "Do you know each other?" the girl asked the two Lumas gleefully. Despite the girl's excitement, they had seemed uneasy. The two Lumas neither drew closer nor back away from each other. Instead, they just stared. Then one Luma broke the silence. "My mama!" And one of the apricot Luma parodied on back, "My mama, my mama! My mama, my mama!" The two girls began to dance around the girl frantically, and neither showed any signs of stopping. The girl was so charmed by this adorable scene that she couldn't help but laugh. But then that's when something very strange happened. Suddenly, more Lumas began to pop out of the apricot planet. They all were different colors, but they all shouted the same thing. "My mama! My mama!" The sight of the shouting Lumas only made the girl laugh harder. "What am I gonna do with all these children?" The Lumas just stared blankly as she doubled over laughing. "I guess we'll just have to name every one of you." Tomorrow, once she had fun naming them all, she would begin moving all the Lumas to the new home. Chapter 7. The Telescope. After seeing their 100th comet, a sudden thought popped out into the girl's head. "I wonder if my home planet was still as blue as it was." That's when she remembered her father's telescope. Peeking into the telescope, a tiny blue dot floating inside. It was smaller than a starbit. How strange. It was so far away, but it feels so close. She twisted the knob of the telescope, and a blue dot grew until she could make out a grassy hill dotted with flowers. It seemed very familiar to her. Zooming even closer, a terrace on the hill came to view. "I used to go stargazing there when I lived on my home planet." She remembered rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she followed her father up that hill to look at the stars. She remembered how she and her brother would slide down that hill. She remembered having picnics with her mother on that hill on the bright and windy days. And "I want to go home! I want to go home right now!" The girl burst into tears, and the Lumas didn't know what to do. "I want to go home! I want to go home back by that hill! I want to see my mother!" The girl was shouting now at her face, wet with tears. "But I know she's not there. I know all along she wasn't out there in the sky because she's sleeping under the tree on the hill." The girl's cries echoed through the stars, and a hush fell over the area. Chapter 8. The Wish. Though usually quite cheery, one day the girl became sad again. Luma drew closer to comfort and tried to comfort her. "Mama, you still have me. And don't be sad about your mama, because she's a part of you. That means she's always close by. It's like me. I love starbits because they remind me of my mama." No, no, the girl said, unable to stop her tears. A lonely look flickered across Luma's face. It was soon replaced with a wide grin. "I have an idea. I'll transform into a comet, a soaring comet that can carry you all over on this journey." Wild at Luma, trailing bands of white soared high into the sky, and just as it quickly started to plummet back down. Kaboom! Kablam! The ground shook, and a bright light poured out of the crater that the Luma had created. The band of light twisted together to form a comet tail. And then Luma emerged, reborn as a comet. The girl could scarcely believe her eyes. But how? She kept asking. Our destiny as Lumas is to transform into different things, said the red Luma, who had suddenly appeared. Stars, comets, planets, who can become all these things. When I grow up, I want to be a star that makes everyone smile, said the green Luma. A blue Luma chimed in. The Luma turned into a real cutie of a comet, didn't he? All the Lumas together said, "No more crying, Mama." "Thank you," said the girl in her whisper, and she pulled all the Lumas close and hugged them. From that day on, the starbits no longer fell from the girl's eyes. The comet set forth of the girl's home planet, its long tail blazing proudly behind it. Final chapter. Family. With many Lumas and telescopes, the comet was quite a sight to behold. The Luma and the Lumas were, or the girl and the Lumas were proud to call it home. At a welcoming party for a new Luma, the girl gathered everyone in the kitchen and said a louder voice than usual. "All right, everyone, let's make a cake sprinkled with starbits. Then it'll be a star cake." The Lumas excitedly began to gather the ingredients. As she watched the Luma scurry about, the girl smiled and thought to herself, "This is my family now. I will stay with them until they're ready to leave the nest. And when they do smile, I'll see them off with a smile. Because that's what makes them their happiest." That night, when the girl laid down to sleep, a soft light enveloped her and reminded her of the blue planet she once called home. But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years to nap in my favorite sleeping nook. The comet carrying the Lumas and the girl continued on the journey with this very day. With more family members in tow than they can be counted, it's said that the comet visited the girl's home planet once every 100 years, its proud white tail glittering in the sky. The end.